So today I thought we would do something a little bit different and kind of have a chat about tariffs. What does it mean for a small business owner and what am I planning to do about it? And I'm sure you have those questions because I know I've gotten those questions in my personal life from people wanting to know how I'm dealing with it. So I thought we'd have a little chat and kind of discuss about my thoughts on it and tariffs in general so we get a better understanding of how this could potentially impact you. So first things first, we're going to go over a disclaimer and kind of get the legal stuff out of the way, and then we'll get into the conversation. I am a small business owner sharing my understanding of tariffs and trade policies based on publicly available information. This video is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, financial, or tax advice. Trade regulations and tariffs are subject to change and can differ based on specific circumstances. If you have questions about your obligations or potential import costs, I recommend that you reach out and speak with a customs broker, a trade expert, or a legal professional. Okay, back to the video. So today we're going to talk about tariffs. I know it's not a popular topic, but it's definitely something that's in the news that I thought maybe we should have a bit of a conversation about here. So I'm sure everybody's seen the news out there. Trump was putting in 25% tariffs on Canada. Canada was about to retaliate. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but I thought it would be good to share a bit of understanding from my perspective what tariffs mean for me, because I know it's come up a few times in my personal life, and I figured if they have questions, chances are you probably do too. So if you're like me, you haven't thought about any of this stuff since like junior high, so it's quite a long time ago. It's not something that you're dealing with on a daily basis, but I think it's important to understand as business owners or people just purchasing goods. So if you're wondering what a tariff is simply a tax on a good that's going across a border. So to understand how tariffs are going to affect products that are going in and out of these countries, let's use my sticky notes as an example. So this sticky note manufactured in Canada is $10. This sticky note manufactured in the States is $10. So you think they're both equal. Well, the whole purpose of a tariff is if I want to sell my sticky note in the States, it's got to go across the border. So when this one goes across the border into the United States, there's going to be a 25% tariff put on it. So if it was $10 in Canada, it's now $12.50 in the United States. So that kind of gives you an idea of how tariffs work. So it's not that the manufacturing costs are more. It's just when it crosses that border, we're trying to incentivize the citizens of that country to buy products made in Canada or products made in the United States. So that's kind of the thought process between getting these tariffs in place, and kind of gives you a better understanding of why somebody would do that. Really, at the end of the day, it's about encouraging local economy and driving manufacturing within our home countries. And it's really looking out for the best interests of the citizens in each. So I don't really blame Trudeau and I don't blame Trump for putting in tariffs because it's really about protecting your local economies, which I'm all for. I'm sure you're asking yourself, how does this really affect products in my business? Well, it can affect it in a number of ways. So there's really two main ways that it's going to affect my personal products. The first way is that I have stuff manufactured in the States. Now, when it gets manufactured in the States, if it's getting taxed 25% by Canada for importing it, my cost for the actual good is going to go up 25%. So that's going to be tacked on the cost of production, which really in turn I pass on to the customer. So it ends up making the end product more expensive. I guess one of the other questions you might have for me is why would I continue to order a product from the United States versus Canada where my costs are probably a lot lower? And I think this is different for every business owner. I know I have suppliers in the United States that I trust. I love their product. They're who I'm going to naturally gravitate towards getting it. And I might not have done, say, all of the research in the world to decide that there's solely in the United States and I can't find it in Canada. I just have manufacturers I'm comfortable with, so I'm going to continue to use them until it doesn't make sense for my business. So it's really up to each business owner where they source their products, their supplies from, and that's going to be their decision as to what they deem to be quality and something worth paying for. And it's a very individual decision process for each business owner. So I hope you understand maybe when you have somebody who's bringing in a product from a foreign country and paying that extra little bit to get them brought in, why they might be doing it. So just some food for thought. It's going to be different for every business owner. So the second way a tariff is going to affect my products and my goods is it's going to make it more expensive for US buyers to purchase my products. I might still sell you the product at $10 and it's going to ship across the border. But when it goes across the border, it's going to hit customs, and customs is going to add on that tariff. And really the buyer at the end of the day is going to be responsible for paying those custom fees to get the product in their hands. So trade wars, not necessarily good, but they're kind of the nature of doing business. This isn't the first time a trade war has come up in Canada and US. It's not going to be the last time. There's always something brewing, and you really never know where the political field is going to end up. Now that we talked about what a tariff is and how it might impact the price of a good, let's sit down and actually have a discussion about what it means for my US customers. Well, if you're buying from me in the US, know that if your order's under an $800 threshold, so this is something that's set out by the US government, those tariffs shouldn't apply to you. So small business shipments, if you order, say, a set of stickers or a calendar or anything like that, and it goes to you in the States, you shouldn't be affected by the tariffs. Now, for my Canadian purchasers, business as usual. I'm in Canada, you're in Canada. There's no tariff that's going to happen across the border. The only way it'll affect me is if I order something from the United States and it's actually over $150 threshold. That's where the tariffs would be charged to me for bringing a good in from the United States. So there's different levels that apply for each country. But at the end of the day, if I know what those levels are and I arrange my shipments accordingly, it should be business as usual. So I'm not going to worry too much about what's happening unless those change, and then maybe my game plan will need to change at that point. But as it stands right now, I'm not overly worried about the trade war. So my plan for the future is to keep it at status quo. I'm going to keep an eye on shipments leaving Canada into the United States, and I'm going to make sure I'm under that $800 threshold. In any product I bring in, I'm going to try and keep it under that $150 threshold we talked about earlier for Canada. Now, these are just simple things I need to keep in mind as a business owner, but I want to remind you that tariffs aren't the end of the world. They're just part of doing business, and it's really just something we need to adapt to as business owners. Now, if you're in the United States or you ship to the US a lot, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found any value in this video, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.